is concerning the pilot agreement for the I-Square project.
Mr. Nolan, I see you're here. Did you receive the terms that were sent on Monday to your attorney? Okay. I haven't heard anything. I don't think any of the board members have. Are those terms acceptable?
I thought we were going to talk that through tonight in public.
No, I don't think we were going to have a public input. I think we were going to try to finalize the...
I get a chance to present the discussion and follow-up items from, can I approach?
Yeah, please.
Good evening, Mike Nolan, 350 Kings Highway North, tonight here representing I-Square.
Right.
And following up from our...
No, but Mr. Nolan, I think what the board wants to know is, I mean, we've talked through the issues in the presentation. I think the board is now looking, in terms of the compromise that they've suggested, or was suggested in my email. Is that acceptable to you?
As it's written, no, it would not be affordable for us to build I-Square the way you presented it, but I was hoping we could go through the nuts and bolts of that so we could discuss in public. I didn't realize you guys were going to be having that discussion behind the scenes over the last week. So I thought it was tabled from last Tuesday night till tonight to continue where we left off.
Well, I'm not, Mr. Nolan, there was a significant amount of information that you provided, and the concerns that my understanding is that the concerns that have been communicated to you haven't changed materially, but nonetheless, if you'd like to have a meeting to discuss that, we're happy to schedule a meeting to do that. Not a board meeting. I mean, you can schedule a meeting with myself, with the supervisor, and with your attorney.
I guess we were all under the understanding that's what we were here tonight to do.
No, I think we were here to try to finalize.
It suggested we left it when that meeting ended, that we continue this conversation on a new, in a following meeting. That's what we came here prepared to do.
May I speak for a moment?
Please.
Yep, pull the microphone in front of you, please.
When I made this suggestion that we close that discussion because we had a lot of loose ends and we wanted to work on them, at that time we gave you and the gentleman here, an opportunity to give us a summary of what your feelings were, and that was going to be to us within 24 or 48 hours. I did not see that summary. And then we were going to do a resolution so we could have a vote. I did not plan to have another big open discussion or so on. You wanted a pilot program. We have a resolution that gives you that pilot program. And also in that resolution is an opportunity to discuss that with the supervisor, her advisors, committee, whomever, and your attorneys. So the question that was on this thing for over many sessions, ones that I was not even here with, was that you wanted a pilot program under your terms. We looked at it and felt that it was in the best interest of this town and the taxpayers that the resolution that we're going to provide for you tonight, which I don't know if you got a copy or not, is one that we think is in the best interest of the town and also gives you a start on doing your I-Square, which I've talked to members of the board, I talked to the people out in the audience, I talked to residents. We're 100% behind I-Square. But we have to look at what we feel the impact as elected or appointed officials of this board in the best interest of the town. And that's where we stood. And that was my understanding. And I know there's minutes, but I did not say that it was going to be back open again. If I did...
I didn't. I watched the tape, but I didn't pick up on the words. We were under the understanding leaving here that I was to provide a summary of where I thought we stood at that point and the issues that remained unresolved. And we did provide that to all board members at the Irondequoit.org email addresses. Did anybody here receive that on Friday when we sent it? I think Paul did. Paul, you responded to it right away on Friday.
Yes.
Did anybody else receive it?
It wasn't what I was expecting, but...
No,
what were you expecting? Maybe I misunderstood, Deb. I thought that...
Well, no, I just, where you said it was discussed that a 2.5% increase, not that it was decided to raise it. You just put it that it was discussed.
Right. Right, and that's the way I felt, and I did watch the tape again to be sure, and we had said, if we can bring this to, subject to some of the other terms, if it's not 25 years, the 2.5 escalator doesn't really come into play because the pilot becomes unaffordable. So, yes, I did leave it subject to discussion. I really felt that we were going to have this discussion in public so people could hear not only my opinions and my presentations, but your opinions and
Do you have something different too? I mean, we're not going to do presentations
Yeah, I
tonight
have a lot
because
of
it's a special
information
board
to
meeting.
present. I don't think anybody in the public has heard what we provided to you on Friday, and I was hoping to run back through those points, not what we provided, what we talked about, and hopefully where we're going with this.
I don't know if it's the other microphones.
Hey, all right, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's...
All right. But yeah, that's where I thought we'd leave it so we could go back through those points. I came prepared to discuss all those points and hopefully come up with an amicable resolution that we can both do. I believe we have thousands of people out there with their fingers crossed tonight that we can bring this to a conclusion, and we did come prepared to do that.
Excuse me just for a minute. Mr. Nolan, you have said repeatedly that you wanted a vote. Whether it was a no vote or a yes vote, you wanted a vote. We listened, we've taken notes, we've asked you for a summary so that you could speak over the next, since that Tuesday, I think it was, that you had the opportunity to talk to the supervisor, your attorney, to our attorney, and so on, in reference to all the things that we spoke to about last Tuesday. So I'm one vote, but to rehash everything that went on until 11 o'clock the other night is not, it's not going to happen, as I said here, because I think we should vote on what you wanted. You wanted a pilot program. You wanted a certain thing. We looked at it and felt on this resolution, and I feel that it's feasible, it'll work.
What
and I don't think
resolution
that you bringing back up things of 15 years or whatever it is acceptable by me.
Well, I think I should have an opportunity to answer to the concerns in the discussion we had the other night. Some of them I could not answer on the spot as they required financial calculations and so forth, and we've now had a chance to do all that. And I think it would only be fair to hear us out to understand, give us a chance to answer your objections. I know, Deb, you had some. We worked toward resolution. We came prepared tonight to make some concessions so that we could get this thing wrapped up. There are some things that we can't because it would not become affordable or attractive to build I-Square in any way, safe to build I-Square in some scenarios. So some of the things we can, and as many of the things that we can compromise on, we came prepared to do so tonight.
Is one of them that if you don't get 25 years, it's not going to work? Because
I wanted to show the numbers, but yes, that is one of the ones that is critical to I-Square is the duration of it, and but there's a lot of offsetting compromise I think that I could present in a valuable, understandable, factual way.
Well, Mr. Nolan, why don't I suggest that we schedule a separate meeting to talk about that with, the compromise with your attorney, myself, and the supervisor, rather than going through this with all of the board members in their time.
Well, I think it's important that in order to get to a final resolution, they need to be the ones to make that decision. Forgive me for Mr. Kresak, but this is a board decision.
Absolutely.
And up to now, I feel like it's been board and Mr. Kresak decision. And I'm sorry for no dig on that. But I believe a lot of the statements that you've made to me directly have been somewhat personal opinion related as opposed to legal advice related, and that I do need to hear and I think discuss openly with the 5 board members that the town has elected so that we can go through the points and the merits of the pilot. If at the end of that they take a vote on it and choose to not do it, then it puts it back in our court to go and figure out what we can do and how we could, what else we can do with the land over there. but I think it is important for the public to hear your opinions on them, on the different points, for me to be allowed a chance to present our answers to your objections, and also where we're willing to compromise on.
I understand completely, and the board members can step in. I mean, this is your town, your meeting.
Well, one thing I'd like to say, we have a resolution in front of us, right, on the terms that obviously we all talked about. I did not get a summary. I got one today. You sent it over, but I didn't get a summary. I personally didn't see one, but that's here nor there. I did look at it today. But we have a resolution in front of us. You know, what I'm looking at, do we approve it or go, you know, make a motion to accept this and then, you know, then listen, or do we just go ahead and approve the pilot as we all discussed over the last 3 or 4 days, or you know, the terms that are on here? I assume, Mike, you want to, you know, the terms that are on here, you want to discuss item by item, right? Is
I
that
have
what you're
not
looking
seen
at?
that resolution,
Yeah.
John.
It's what you received in your email. It's nothing
It's same
different.
body, yeah,
Same.
based on the body of it, yes, that
Right.
was what we were, one of the things we would go through in our presentation.
I do have to say, Mr. Nolan, since the meeting last Tuesday night, we have received a number of emails, and when I tell you, everywhere I've gone in the town, I've had people come up to me to say that they're very unhappy about 25 years, and that in no way, shape, or form do they want us entering into another 25-year pilot. We did hear from your supporters on Tuesday night as well. Certainly, there are people that are happy with the 25 years, but the overwhelming majority of the people that approached me said, absolutely not 25 years, and that we would be irresponsible to saddle the town with for 25 years of, well, I mean, 25 years is a long time.
Right, that's how long ago we built the Medley Center.
And
It's under
I tell you,
pilot
I would
now.
not have agreed to that pilot, I can tell you right here.
I understand that, but it is
And part
the
of, also, let
reality
me
of
just explain,
Irondequoit.
part of why we did come to this conclusion with the pilot is it was important to have a unanimous decision, and I think that you would get one with this.
Right, with a
So, and
10-year.
otherwise, with the 10 years, that's right, because that's what that's
I'm
what
sure.
pilots are, 10 years.
Madam Supervisor, I move the resolution.
Okay,
Yes, second.
I probably should read it.
Yeah,
Okay.
do that.
Whereas the developers of the I-Square project have submitted a request to the town board for a custom payment in lieu of taxes, referred to as a pilot agreement for such project, and whereas the town board has reviewed the information provided by the developers and considered the financial impact of the request upon the town and its taxpayers, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor and her advisors to enter into negotiations related to the execution and delivery of a custom pilot agreement for the I-Square project that will include, among other things, the pilot payments based on the schedule developed by the town assessor, with incremental increases of 2.5% over 10 years, and such additional terms communicated to council for I-Square on September 24th, 2012. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Paul seconded.
Discussion.
I have nothing further to say about it.
Sorry, you know how I keep notes.
So to be clear for I-Square, we're not going to vote on a 25-year as we proposed?
I believe it is the consensus of this board that there's no way we would approve a 25-year pilot.
Okay, so even if I could undoubtedly prove to you that this would bring 40 jobs to Irondequoit, that I could undoubtedly prove to you this would not add 1 penny to any Irondequoit taxpayer's tax bill, that this project would not cost the town anything, I can factually prove anything I tell you, that it would create more sales tax revenue, and most importantly, I can prove to you, if you are not able to approve this or support a 25-year pilot, the town will receive less revenue in the next 25 years, in the next 50 years, in the next 75 years from our properties there. You'll be adding burden onto our taxpayers because we'll pay less taxes. That will add on to our residents' tax bills. So even if I can absolutely prove to you that the town will get less, that you will drive cost into our taxpayers' bills, exactly what you vow not to do, even with all that, you will still not vote on a 25-year pilot? I have the comparison and all the math to
With
prove
all
this.
due respect, Mr. Nolan, there's our figures from your figures are so completely different that it's impossible for us to
Do you
bring
mind
them
me
even
asking who
close.
prepared your figures?
One thing we know, when you looked at the list of operating expenses for the years, most of those would be deducted in the tax year in which they were incurred. Some would be amortized over the depreciation schedule.
Right.
So considering that those would work to aid your income tax in terms of your other business, those things have not been taken into consideration in your what you have proposed to us. I've told you that I haven't been happy with the financials that were presented to me. And secondly, we need a sound business plan.
Mary Joyce, you keep saying that, but could you, for the benefit of the crowd here, describe the elements of a business plan? Just the primaries, nothing detailed.
Okay, I think for one thing, Building 1 has 4 of your current tenants. The second and third floors are apartments. But that's in what you gave us, though.
It says it's commercial space, professional space on the second floor of the I-Square office.
But again,
Of course. So
I'm
anyway,
sorry.
the elements of a business plan, what would they be? What would we provide you?
yeah, I'm going to call the question.
What's that mean to us?
That means
We are going to vote.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't debate this.
Why? Because maybe the position of the town may not be correct, you can't debate it, but I believe that our taxpayers would not agree with you voting this down when it's going to add taxes to their bill. And
Okay.
I also don't think that the taxpayers would agree that I-Square, in addition to Wendy and I paying for I-Square, paying for a new road, should also pay to lower our residents' tax bills. That is what you're proposing to me. The 10-year pilot that you're going to vote on is not really worth voting on because I would have a better arrangement. And again, Deb, this is where the math comes in and who prepares your financials versus ours. I'm very confident, and I could, any CPA you want to come audit anything I've given you, be more than happy to do it with them. But I can't do it with when there isn't a sound understanding from the board. The 10-year pilot that you're suggesting is not even as attractive as the standard 14-year Green Jobs Plus pilot from the county. And you're going to say, oh, yes, it is, because the escalator is much smaller. In that Green Jobs Plus, it goes to 10% and 20%, and it escalates upward. But when you take a Green Jobs Plus pilot, it consummates, it begins when you get a C of O for the building. It begins at land value taxes. So even with those escalators and with that, your 10-year pilot that you're contemplating voting that has a bunch of conditions tied to it as well is not as good as what I can get just going to the county, and they can do it without.
Mr. Nolan, I'm going to have to interrupt you for a minute.
Sure.
Robert's Rules of Order said that the question has been called, so I would ask for the vote.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Should we do roll call vote, or?
I don't think it'll be necessary.
Pardon me?
Whatever you'd like, madam.
Okay, roll call vote?
Town Board Member Kelderhouse,
Yes.
Town Board Member Esley,
Yes.
Town Board Member Marasco,
Yes.
Town Board Member Perdicone,
Yes.
and Supervisor DeRizio.
Yes. Okay. May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
And a second? Any discussion?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.